Picture this. A quiet Iowa farm town. You know the kind, right? Everyone knows everyone. Life moves slow. You can sit on your porch and watch the sun go down. Peaceful. But sometimes under that peace, something bad hides. And in Earlville, Iowa, in November 2018, the peace was broken. A woman named Amy Mullis, a wife, a mom, someone everyone loved, was found dead. And it gets worse. She was in her family's red shed, and a corn rake, like farmers use every day, was stuck in her back.
Oh, wow.
Her husband Todd said it was an accident, a terrible fall. But there were problems with his story. The medical examiner, well, he found 6 puncture wounds on Amy's body. A corn rake only has 4 times.
I see.
This wasn't an accident. This was murder.
That's awful. You said a corn rake, like the kind you use in the fields.
Yeah, makes you think, how something so ordinary can be part of something so horrible. Makes you wonder, was it planned? Or in the heat of the moment, what happened in that shed?
So many questions.
Welcome to CrimePod Castle's Twisted Crime series. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. To understand this case, we need to look at Amy and Todd Mullis. From the outside, they look like a hardworking couple. They had a big hog farm and 3 kids. Amy, everyone said, was a great person.
It's important to remember things aren't always what they seem, especially with violence at home. Abusers often look charming and put together in public. It's a way to control things and isolate their victims.
Right. And as we go deeper, that perfect picture starts to crack.
Mm-hmm.
That morning, Amy was working with Todd and their son Tristan doing farm chores. She wasn't feeling great. She'd had a medical procedure recently. Todd told her to go rest, but asked her to get a pet carrier from the red shed first.
That little request, it becomes important later. It put Amy in the shed alone, where she was found.
Exactly. Later, Tristan, their son, found his mom. It must have been horrifying for him. The corn rake in her back, blood everywhere.
It's so awful. And we have to think about the trauma, not just for the victim, but for whoever finds them, especially if it's a child. That kind of emotional scar can last forever.
Absolutely. And right away, people suspected Todd. He called 911, sounding panicked, saying Amy fell in the rake. But we know the medical examiner said something else. Multiple wounds, different angles. It was murder, not an accident.
Those 911 calls are really important evidence. Investigators listen to everything, every word, every pause, looking for anything that doesn't fit the story. Those little clues can be what breaks a case open.
And in this case, those cracks started to show when they looked closer at the Mullis' marriage. It wasn't perfect like they showed everyone. 5 years before this, Amy had an affair. Todd was angry. He wanted control. He made a deal with Amy. She quit her nursing job and worked on the farm full-time. It isolated her, put her under his watch all the time.
That's something abusers do a lot. They control the victim's whole life. No friends, no family, watching where they go, making them feel bad about themselves. It's slow and sneaky, and it often looks like love or caring.
It was a trap for Amy. Stuck on that farm, following his rules, couldn't leave without permission, barely saw her friends, even had to be back from town at a certain time. No freedom at all.
Can you imagine being watched all the time, never being free? That does so much damage. Anxiety, depression, feeling helpless.
And it got worse for Amy. In the summer of 18, Todd found out she was having another affair, this time with a farmhand named Jerry Frazier, who worked on their property.
Another affair makes things way more dangerous when there's already jealousy and control. It makes the abuser feel betrayed and like they need to be in charge even more.
Right, like a bomb about to go off.
Yeah.
Jerry denied it, so they only talked about work and the kids. But Amy told her friends she loved him and wanted to leave Todd.
That's interesting. He says no, she wants to leave with him. Adds a whole other layer to things. Makes you wonder what their relationship really was and if he was telling the truth.
For sure. And here's something else, really chilling. Amy told a friend, if Todd ever finds out, I'll disappear. It's scary to think she lived with that fear every day.
Those kinds of statements, especially knowing what happened, are so powerful. They tell you what the victim was feeling, how terrified they were, and it shows how dangerous things could get.
As we dig deeper, we'll find more that shows Amy's fear wasn't for nothing.
Yeah, it's often in the little things, online stuff, alibis that don't add up, that the truth comes out.
And in this case, those little things show a marriage gone very wrong.
Yeah.
Jealousy, control, and then a terrible act of violence.
So Todd said he was with Tristan, his son, all morning working on the farm. That was his alibi at first, but as the trial got closer, Tristan had to testify. It must have been tough for him. He finally admitted something. He said he lost sight of his dad a couple times that morning, just for like less than a minute each time.
Less than a minute. It doesn't seem like much, but in a murder case, those little gaps can be huge.
Yeah, it makes you think, could he have done it in that time? Was it planned, or did he just snap?
And it's not just the missing time that makes Todd's story look bad. The investigators looked into Todd's online activity. What they found was really disturbing: his internet search history.
It's amazing how much we do online, right? It's all recorded, our thoughts, everything. And in this case, what Todd was searching for, it showed a dark side. Things like what happens to cheaters in history, the thrill of the kill. He even searched for stuff about killing unfaithful women.
Wow. That's hard to explain away.
Yeah,
It's like he was obsessed with violence, with punishing people for cheating, maybe even thinking about it beforehand.
definitely. Those searches, they're not just someone being curious. They show what was going on in his mind. And it all fits with what happened to Amy.
Then there's the security footage, or lack of it. Todd had cameras everywhere on the farm, supposed to keep things safe. But the day Amy died, they just stopped recording.
No way.
And get this, they started working again the next day, perfectly fine.
That's suspicious. No footage from when it mattered, then it magically works again. It sounds like someone was messing with the evidence, trying to hide what really happened.
They were trying to make it look like an accident, get rid of any proof.
Right, trying to cover their tracks. But a lot of times, those carefully made plans fall apart when people look close enough.
And when the police questioned Todd, his reaction was strange. He didn't yell, didn't deny anything, didn't even ask for proof. He just said, really calm, "You want me to confess to something I didn't do?"
Hmm. Sometimes people see that, being calm like that, as a sign of innocence. Like he's being wrongly accused, so he's staying cool. But to someone who's seen a lot of these cases, it could mean the opposite. He could be acting, trying not to show any guilt.
That's creepy. To think someone could do something so awful and then just act like nothing happened.
It's a part of human nature, I guess. The ability to shut off your feelings, to lie and pretend.
And as they put all the pieces together, it became more and more obvious that this wasn't just a farm accident. The evidence showed it was intentional, planned out, jealousy, the need for control, and just not caring about another person's life.
Yeah, and in the end, the jury had to decide, was it a horrible accident or was it murder?
It was a tough trial, a lot of emotional stuff, and the evidence against Todd just kept building. The prosecution did a good job. They showed how his alibi didn't really work, those creepy searches online, the cameras that conveniently stopped working, and experts who said Amy couldn't have just fallen on the rake like that.
Yeah, trials like that are intense. You've got one side fighting for justice, the other side defending their client, and the jury in the middle trying to figure out the truth. It's a big responsibility.
And in this case, the jury took 7 hours. 7 hours to think about all they'd heard and seen, and then they came back with the verdict. Guilty. Todd Mullis was convicted of first-degree murder, life in prison, no chance of parole.
Wow. It's heavy when they say guilty, you know. It means the system worked, that someone is being held responsible for what they did. But it also reminds you of what's lost, what can never be replaced because of that crime.
What Amy told her friend, that fear she had, it came true. She disappeared, but not because she ran away. She was silenced by the person who should have kept her safe.
It shows how real domestic violence is. It can happen to anyone, anywhere. Doesn't matter who you are, what you do, how things look from the outside. It hides in the shadows in normal lives.
That's why we have to talk about it. Make people aware, show them the signs, and help those who are stuck in those situations. If you or someone you know is going through something like that, please get help. There are people who care, places you can go, and ways to heal and be safe again.
I agree. It's never the victim's fault, and there's nothing wrong with asking for help. It takes strength to reach out, to start taking your life back.
Amy's story is tragic. It shows how fragile life is and how much darkness can hide in places you'd never expect. But it's also a wake-up call.
Oh.
We all need to do what we can to stop this from happening, to help people who've gone through it.
We need to talk about it, understand how abuse works, and do something if we see warning signs. Maybe then we can stop things like this from happening and make sure love and respect are stronger than control and violence.
Well, that's our deep dive into the Cornrake murder here on CrimePod Castle's Twisted Crime series. It's a tough case, but it's important to tell these stories, to remember the victims, and to learn from what happened.
Remember, the truth is usually buried under lies and fake appearances. You have to look closely, think critically, and see beyond what's right in front of you to find it. That's how we can understand these mysteries and get justice for those who can't speak for themselves anymore.
If you want to explore more true crime, follow CrimePod Castle wherever you get your podcasts. We've got tons of interesting cases waiting for you.
And check out our YouTube channel for video versions of our episodes, interviews you won't find anywhere else, and a peek behind the scenes of how we investigate true crime.
Until next time, stay curious, stay safe, And remember, the truth is out there, just waiting to be found.